I am somebody. I may be poor, but I am somebody.
Welcome to the Saturday Morning Community Forum. We're excited to bring you another broadcast to give you information, inspiration, and to encourage you to participate in the movement for civil rights. It's not social justice, it is about civil rights and human rights. That's what we do, and that's what we're concerned about. Today, we dedicate our broadcast to those persons in India who are victims of COVID. Many of them are unable to have access to oxygen. They don't have adequate treatment protocols there. And so we're praying for those family members that are surviving in the midst of a devastating pandemic that has caused hundreds of thousands of their loved ones and friends and family members to die from COVID-19. We thank President Biden for sending resources from the United States. Reverend Jackson is calling on the world community, the global community, the United Nations, the World Health Organization to really take time and target resources to India in terms of human capital, as well as vaccination, as well as treatment protocols and healthcare personnel to be deployed to India.
This is Bishop Tavis Grant, the National Field Director for the Rainbow Push Coalition, and I am so excited about a new global initiative by Reverend Jesse Lewis Jackson in calling for global international relief for the nation of India. 400,000 a day are impacted by COVID across that nation, and the casualties are going up daily. We have been working with the Indian community and the Pakistani community, as Reverend Jackson has had meetings in Atlanta and engagement in Washington, D.C., engaging both the governments of India and Pakistan, as well as commending President Joe Biden for releasing vaccines globally, starting with India. Let me tell you something. We're going to beat the bug, and we're going to outlive the virus. Go to www.rainbowpush.org or call us here at the national headquarters, 773-373-3366. Go to any number of the relief organizations, and we need you to contribute. Together, we're going to save India.
Thank President Biden for taking leadership in the world community. He deserves support. He is front on this. Europe has been defending his unions as well. We need hospitals to get involved. We need respirators, oxygen, source of oxygen, and medicines as needed right now. Last year, when we had the fear of Ebola coming out of Africa, President Obama moved rather quickly. The Corps of Engineers into Liberia. We need the Corps of Engineers in India. There are structural deficits. India and Brazil need our help in a big way. President Biden has put 80 million doses of this virus, of this medicine available. 3/4 of India right now. I want to express my thanks again to all of you who are present, and we will not stop until we defeat this virus. Thank you very much.
We shall overcome. We are so grateful for all of our partners that have made this year's event possible and makes all of the work possible. You have all contributed in such significant ways to make sure that the work of the Rainbow Push Coalition can continue, that Reverend Jackson's vision can continue to manifest and come to pass. Events like this impact people's lives, and then the continuation of the work also helps us tremendously. And because of that, I am so excited today to take this moment and announce a partnership that's going forward in a very meaningful way. Shout out to Facebook. Thank you to Facebook. Kudos to Facebook. And I'm pleased and proud to announce that Facebook is providing the Rainbow Push Coalition with 1,000 scholarships for their Facebook Elevate program. This program will allow students of color to be trained by Facebook leadership to receive the kind of digital skills that will open doors for them into their future, will give them the opportunity to see jobs and to see other types of opportunities for their own personal growth take place. Facebook is ensuring that your resume is going to be bolstered. Your LinkedIn page is going to look better. Your skill set is going to another level, and you can feel a sense of pride because of what you've accomplished. And so through our Rainbow Push office, through our Silicon Valley work known as Push Tech, through Push Excel under Reverend Jeanette Wilson from our Push headquarters, we are all going to engage students from around this country with these 1,000 scholarships to allow you the privilege of being a certified, trained, prepared, and skilled individual under the banner of Facebook. We thank you so much for your contribution, your service, your sacrifice, and your commitment to this partnership.
And on behalf of our founding president, Reverend Jesse Jackson, I want you to know we're excited about your future. I don't know if you know it or not, but 1.1 billion people live in inadequate housing globally, and it's estimated 100 million homeless people around the world exist. This is the cause, and this is the quest of the Rainbow Push Coalition. Our national initiative is focused on improving the quality of housing, as we are focused on improving housing for people who can't simply afford to make the repairs, make the renovations, and make the upgrades. And that's why we're excited about our project here in Chicago at Concordia Place Apartments, where we work for a 100% inspection. We work for a comprehensive strategy in pest control and mold mitigation. And now we're moving towards repairs and renovations to help ensure that we provide decent, adequate, livable, sustainable, and enjoyable housing. Affordable housing, believe it or not, is defined by income. And most agencies and service providers and experts agree that housing is affordable, but it doesn't mean that it's always accessible. And the reason being that as housing prices go up, incomes go down, and the likelihood of persons in public housing getting out of the cycle of poverty is exacerbated by both public policy, by both a lack of access to resources and opportunity. This is the reason why you ought to support the Rainbow Push Coalition. You know, we fight for low-income people, and we fight for the poor, but we don't fight the poor. And it's so critically important that you, as a contributor, as a partner, as a member, listen, join today, give today, and stand up today. We're calling for three things. One, recreate in public housing, reconstruct in public housing, and last but not least, recapitalize public housing. And you can participate in the process. You see the website at the bottom of the screen, www.rainbowpush.org, or you can reach us right here at Dr. King's workshop. Right here, you can call us right now. Operators are waiting to receive your call, 773-373-3366. That's freedom on your dial. And guess what? We are keeping hope alive.
Push Excel is inviting you to participate and apply for the Aramark Scholarship. This award is going to go towards 10 high school CPS seniors. Anyone that is interested in pursuing a career in building management or trade, Please apply at www.pushexcel.org for a $2,500 scholarship. If you are interested, you can have a career going to Kennedy King College with the scholarship, and we want to partner with you to succeed.
Attention high school seniors and college freshmen, sophomores, and juniors. If you are in need of financial assistance, Push for Excellence offers a variety of scholarships for which you may be eligible to apply. Whether it's the Jesse Jackson Fellows Toyota Scholarship, the Cirillo McSween New York Life Scholarship, or the Oralee Sanders Scholarship, Push for Excellence strives to offer something for everyone. Here are just a few of our scholarship recipients.
Hello everyone viewing, my name is Chidi Osakwe.
Dominic Davis.
Julian Jones.
China Mazum.
Miles Chairman.
Jalen Clark.
Marcus Anderson.
Jaden Reed.
Kari Young. Ms. Megan Chu, and I'm a Cirillo McSween Scholar.
I want to take this opportunity to thank Reverend Jesse Jackson for all his support of my college education.
Thank you for all of Toyota for helping with Reverend Jackson with the scholarship as well.
I just want to take the opportunity to say thank you to Reverend Jesse Jackson for helping to make the scholarship opportunity possible for me.
As appreciative as I was before, I'm even more grateful now having received this scholarship.
Not only has it helped me out financially with paying for tuition, but it has also awarded me the opportunity to learn more about the Rainbow Push Coalition and their different initiatives in the African American community.
I'd like to say thank you to Reverend Jesse Jackson and the Rainbow Push Coalition for all the generosity and support that they've shown me throughout my undergraduate career and for the opportunity to pursue higher education.
For more information, please visit our website at www.pushexcel.org and click on the word scholarships. Thank you and keep hope alive.
And guess what? We want to celebrate young people. Anybody that's graduating from kindergarten, 8th grade, high school, college, graduate school, we want to acknowledge you on our broadcast. Send us your picture. Tell us what school you're graduating from and your photo. Please send us a picture. We're celebrating graduates in the month of June. You have from now to June 15th. Get your picture in, get the information in so that you can be on our broadcast. We're going to do something really special for the 2021 graduating class. It's been a difficult year. It's been difficult for many of you, but this is going to be an exciting moment.
Push Excel's goal is to inspire students to strive for excellence in education in spite of personal, family, and community challenges that they might experience. How do we do this? By advocating for educational policies that guarantee equal funding for all students without regard to race or economic standing. By engaging parents, students, and teachers in pursuing high-quality education and striving for educational excellence at every level. And by forging partnerships with community-based and public sector stakeholders in education. Now, Push Excel is a national model program with the purpose of connecting principals, parents, popular personalities, and students in a bond and to support students at every level on the educational ladder. Now, we want you to become a member of the Rainbow Push Coalition and Push Excel. Your annual membership can help us to change policies that impact students, colleges, and universities all around the country. So step up and sign up today. Membership is only $35, and if you're a student or a senior, $15. Just go to our website, rainbowpush.org, and push join to become a member or push donate to support the Push Excel program. You can also text the word Push Excel, that's PUSHEXCEL, to 41444 on your cell phone, and you can give us any amount that you feel comfortable giving or call us at 773-256-2775. Wherever you are, you can support us as we keep pushing for you. And remember to keep hope alive. This week, as you may or may not know, this is the 67th anniversary of the historic Brown versus the Board of Education decision that was handed down May 17th, 1954. Many of the attorneys that some of us remember, Thurgood Marshall was one of the lead attorneys on the Brown versus the Board of Education case, as well as Constance Baker Motley, as well as several other
African American lawyers and a comprehensive group of lawyers who supported this team. In addition to the lawyers, you had John Hope Franklin, noted African American historian, and many noted sociologists to help frame the case that ended up in the United States Supreme Court. Many people think Brown was just about desegregating schools so that black children and white children could attend school together. That was one of the asks or the demands of the Brown case or the outcomes of Brown. But what was even more important was it was always about resources. And here we are 67 years later, schools are still segregated because the cities are segregated where our children attend public school K to 12. If you live in a segregated community, you will attend a segregated school, except in Chicago, we have this tiered system of education where students are tested for gifted, and then there's this lottery where you can get in selective enrollment schools that allegedly give you a better education. And so you're looking at the resources, the resource allocation in terms of funding levels for public education in the state of Illinois. It is still not based on equity. And so poor black and brown children have serious underfunding compared to students that attend schools in Illinois, as an example, of higher rent districts. So Brown was decided really to address those issues. Well, there's a new case that was just recently decided in Maryland, which takes this whole Brown desegregation argument, not just for K to 12, kindergarten to 12th grade, but looking at higher education. And as you may or may not know, there are 103 historic black colleges in the country. Why do they exist? Because at the same time that we couldn't go to K to 12 schools, if we went, we had to go to those schools that were underfunded, under-resourced, and segregated. When we graduated from high school, we could not go to white colleges and universities as we can apply and get accepted now. So we created our own institutions of higher learning, but our schools never received the kind of funding from the states where the schools were located that would give them an equal opportunity to provide a high quality education to the students that attended. In terms of the facilities, in terms of the teaching resources. And just think about this. In the backdrop of COVID, what do you need if you're going to be educated at any level? You need access to Wi-Fi, you need access to technology, because we were remote. Students were told to engage in remote learning. We still see the disparity. We still see the challenges 67 years later. Well, in Maryland, there are a group of alumni and others filed a lawsuit in Maryland because what they discovered, it's called, what they discovered in Maryland that HBCUs, historic black colleges and universities, were not getting the sufficient funding that they needed to maintain the high quality education that they were providing to students. And they found that the majority institutions in Maryland were competing with the HBCUs and taking the unique curriculum and majors that the HBCUs were providing and offering it at their institutions and taking funds from the state of Maryland, which left the HBCUs struggling for funding. And so there's this case that has now gone up to a higher court, and they've reached a settlement agreement resulting in, for the first time in American history, the state of Maryland has to give HBCUs $577 million in settlement. The HBCUs that are located in Maryland to provide the educational resources. I would just like to read from you some parts of the opinion. It was a lawsuit filed by the Coalition for Equity and Excellence in Maryland Higher Education, who sued the Maryland Higher Education Commission. And they sued them in 2006. It is now 2021, and they've just reached a settlement on behalf of students and alumni of Morgan State, Coppin State, Bowie State, and the University of Maryland Eastern Shore. Phenomenal institutions. If you ever go to Maryland, you need to visit each of those institutions. As a result of the lawsuit argued that the state had fostered segregation and disadvantaged the HBCUs by limiting their role and mission and unnecessarily duplicating their distinctive programs at the state's majority white institutions. The lawsuit argued also that these practices allowed for a systemically perpetuated system of unequal higher education. In 2013, the judge, Blake, found in the plaintiff's favor on the unnecessary duplication claim. In March of this year, Maryland General Assembly passed an emergency appropriations bill that would provide the four HBCUs $577 million over a period of 10 years. This is a big step. But just imagine, 67 years, we're still fighting for the same thing, a desegregation of resources. And so I want you to stay tuned. I want you to look at the Education Summit. We're talking about where we are and where we need to go and why you need to be involved in this movement. These things require us, when you hear this information, it ought to cause you to want to take action. It ought to cause you to want to do something. We got to look at this kind of policy, HBCUs in Mississippi, HBCUs in Louisiana, HBCUs in Alabama, HBCUs in Tennessee, South Carolina, North Carolina, Virginia, all across the South and in the Midwest. We have Langston up in Pennsylvania, Coppin. We have to begin to fight for equal access to a high-quality, well-funded public education system. Stay tuned. Dr. Sonia Whitaker is going to lead a powerful discussion today about education and what we got to do. We're fighting for you, and that's why we need you to become a member of the Rainbow Push Coalition. Membership is only $35 a year. Can you imagine $35 given to an organization that's fighting for civil rights and human rights each and every day? We're fighting for you. That's what we do.
Thank you so much for being here with us. We're thrilled to have our panelists as well as our participating audience members. My name is Dr. Sonia Whitaker, and I am the National Education Policy Director for Push Excel. On behalf of Reverend Jesse Jackson and the Rainbow Push Coalition, we're here because 67 years ago, as we all know, the U.S. Supreme Court case was landed. The United States Supreme Court ruled segregation in America's public schools as being unconstitutional. And as a direct result of that, several years ago, in fact, at the 65th anniversary of Brown versus Board of Education, Reverend Jesse Jackson gave all of us a charge. And that charge was to begin to gather adults, policymakers, students, clergy, community members, all that would come to bring everyone, all of the stakeholders to the table to talk about how far we have come. And it's hard to believe that our inaugural event took place just 2 years ago. We are now at the 67th anniversary of Brown versus Board of Education. The purpose of today's town hall discussion is to explore many of the factors that continue to perpetuate inequalities and segregation in our country's schools. And as stated at the beginning of my opening, not only are we going to explore those factors from an adult perspective, but we're also going to, for the first time in some cases, explore those factors from the student perspective so that we may grow. I mentioned this quote at the last town hall discussion, and I really feel like it should be very difficult for any educators
to engage in conversation about equity without quoting Nikole Hannah-Jones. Nikole Hannah-Jones shares with us that education is the key to liberation, and yet education remains a key driver of inequalities. Here's what we know. We know that a 2019 study by the University of California, Los Angeles Civil Rights Project and Penn State University Center for Education and Civil Rights highlights the fact that the intense levels of racial and economic segregation have been on the rise since the 1990s. And so again, as we paused 2 years ago to talk about how far we've come since Brown versus Board of Education, several years ago, several studies across our nation reported that we are not where we're supposed to be. And in some cases, we're as far away from our goal today as we were 65, and in this case, 67 years ago. I mentioned this study in particular because I do know that we do have researchers on, as well as practitioners and students. Here's what we know. We know that far too often children, Black children and white children, brown children, show up to school and they have exposure to curriculum materials that does not reflect the diversity of the school, and in many cases, the diversity that is reflected around our country. That's what we know to be true. As a good friend of mine would say, that's fact. Here's what we know. We also know that in school districts in which Black and brown students are the majority, and yet a greater majority of their teachers are white, there still remains a need for staff to engage in some form of diversity training associated with raising consciousness. And the only thing that I want to add there, which we also talked about in one of our town hall discussions, is that there are forces at play, even at the federal level, that are working to develop laws and to continue to draw up laws that were reversed when our new president came in office. These proposed laws are back on the table. And the laws that I'm referring to now are laws that would ban or prohibit school district officials, government employees, so that would be, in this case, school district administrators and teachers, in participating in the necessary diversity training that was required to move them closer to achieving the goal of developing their cultural competencies. Here's what we know. We can consider that factors also. And lastly, what we also know is that while attempting to meet the goal of ensuring that all students gain access to a quality education, this includes students with disabilities and gifted students as well. Thank you all so much for being here. I'm going to ask you to prepare for a response to an opening question that I have. I've had the distinct honor of meeting and talking with each of you. This question I am going to pose to each of you, and I'll start with Ms. Kirsten since she's to my left. I'd like for you to take for just a moment to share why this topic is of particular interest to you, given your background, Ms. Hornberg.
I've grown up my whole life in Huntley, Illinois, which is a suburb just to the northwest of Chicago. And something about Huntley is it's not extremely diverse. It's 80% white. And so for a majority of my childhood, I had the privilege of not having to consider my race in regards to certain events that were taking place in my community. And as I've grown older and I've been able to recognize the injustices that have occurred across the country and across the state of Illinois in terms of education, I realize like how, enraging it is to see that a zip code really does define the educational opportunities that students have access to. And coming from my district that does have a bit of wealth of resources, seeing how we have these resources and we're not using them effectively to kind of dismantle the racism in our own community. And so that's something that has kind of driven me to join the State Board of Education and continue into my career.
It's my community. I grew up in the south side of Chicago, so naturally, kind of unlike Kirsten, I kind of had the other side of the ball. Where I grew up, it was a large majority Black or Hispanic, people of color. And in the schools I went to, it was extremely unequitable. When you went, we were known, our community is known as a book desert. It's something only I later found out later in life and understood what that really meant. But a book desert means where you don't have access to books. You don't have libraries. You don't have bookstores within miles radius of you. So as I was doing this work on ISB, I was just realizing how inequitable the system is, and not just my community. So growing up, I was able to feel the effects of just these different proposed laws and how we say that Board of Education, like really how much has changed. It's true. When you're in these schools, you don't feel that much that has changed. So I kind of felt that it's my duty, because if not me, then who? Like, I have to go in and I have to make the change in these communities, because it hasn't changed in these 65 years, or it hasn't changed enough. So I think it's just my duty, along with all my other students, to go in and do the necessary work.
I think what drives me is my story of being a child that grew up on the west side of Chicago and then moving out to the suburbs of Chicago. And I've seen both spectrums and both sides, because I think of it as I grew up in a part that had high crime rates and was stereotypical of what most people view as Chicago. But to me, it was a great experience, because that was what I knew. And then I came out here, and inside the suburbs is a different experience, and I have different access to resources. And I think that's one of my drivers for me personally, is because I want to make sure that students that grew up where I grew up are able to have those same experiences and are able to have the same access to important and necessary resources as well. So I think that's really what drives me, and what really makes me want to know, what can we do to really move the needle and keep moving forward.
I have been able to experience both sides of the spectrum. Growing up from kindergarten to 6th grade, I went to a predominantly Black school on the South Side in Hyde Park. And I was in contact, I had many Black teachers. Like I said, the students were Black. So, I felt very comfortable in the nature. And then 7th grade, I transferred to a predominantly white school on the north side of Chicago. So in that environment, I was one of the few only Black students. And my only Black teacher was my gym teacher. So other than that, I had no other, any other Black teachers or leaders in front of me who I could, look up to and, really get that close relationship that I had at my previous school. And what I noticed was when I transferred to the other school was, they had MacBooks and we had all these different classes and we were able to do all these different opportunities that I never realized that I was missing out at my former school. So I was able to really just see like, wow, all these things that I had here, I never even thought of, having these same opportunities and resources and things of that nature at this previous school. And not to say that the previous school wasn't, good. It was wonderful. I loved my time there. But I was just able really to see just the difference between the school environment as well as the outside environment, what it was like traveling to school, just all these other different aspects that I never thought of. So, working with the Board of Education and things of that nature and able to talk to other students who have similar experiences as me and also who don't have similar experiences as me, it's just really eye-opening to have these type of discussions.
These young people here today share with you a story of why this field of gifted education and the work that we do is still important. We know that 49 of the 50 states plus District of Columbia require gifted education services for their schools. Now, when I say require, we're talking here about these school districts across the nation being required to provide services for gifted students from all backgrounds. But what we know to be fact is that Black students in particular, low-income students in particular, brown students in particular are underrepresented in gifted programs. As a matter of fact, when you talk about segregation, gifted programs are some of the classrooms are some of the most segregated classrooms in the United States. Even today, here we are in the 21st century, going into the third decade of the 21st century, and we are still seeing underrepresentation in gifted programs, Black students being horribly underrepresented, overlooked, discriminated against for nothing more many times than their race. Not because they don't have the potential, because we have a lot of research that says that Black students, even with the same potential, can sometimes still not get into gifted programs. That lack of access
has to change. We have to do something more than we've been doing, Dr. Whitaker, Dr. Leaks. We have to do more than we've been doing to make sure that as long as these publicly funded programs exist, as long as these publicly funded programs exist, all students who have potential to excel and potential to fit into these programs need to be in these programs. So there's a lot of activism and advocacy that's going on. A matter of fact, I have an entire group of colleagues, and we're very proud to say that we are about 13, 14 strong, and we're all African-American scholars in the field of gifted education. And we are working hard across the nation to change these conditions so that Black students in every borough, every community, every rural area, every urban area have the same opportunities that other students have.
Okay, Dr. Leak, we have 11 minutes. I want to hear from you and the students. I'm going to do something tricky. I want to try to get a 2-for-1 out of you.
Okay.
Something historical happened in the state of Illinois relevant to a resolution for which you've had to talk everywhere about over the last probably 24 to 48 hours. I'd like you to take literally a minute or two to talk about that resolution, and then I will pose my question to at least one student specific to a response to that. So can you tell our national audience here about the resolution that the Illinois State Board of Education just passed? And this is in alignment with our recommendations for what can be done.
So our resolution that we voted on yesterday was in regards to the pandemic, really. And it was a resolution that mandated that schools return to in-person learning across the state of Illinois come the fall semester. And there was a lot of conversation about it. And of course, underlying that is the issue of equity to ensure that all of our students that their needs are met. But there was also a lot of questions about those students who have thrived in remote, for those parents who found that their children are doing well in remote. And so what I think it really came down to at the end of the day is the spirit of the resolution is that we want to get children in a space that's the best space for them. And that means that we as a state really do have to rethink what education looks like. And when I say rethink it, I mean we have to take a look at what the expectations are for every child. And one of the things that you were asking about, Dr. Whitaker, in terms of what we need to do in order to really push this equity envelope, there has to be a sense of accountability for the equity. So it can't just be that we talk about it, because just like we do these state assessments, and that was another big conversation. So that's a piece of equity connected to dollars. But the other part of that is, if we're saying that we want to ensure that we are reaching students and making sure that the education they get is inclusive of all, then there has to be some accountability that's connected to dollars. So our resolution yesterday was in the interest of getting the best for every child possible. And we know the research shows that the majority of our children need to be in person. But on the other side of that, there's conversation about assessments and what do we do to ensure that we're addressing exactly what Khalid, Hannah, Kirsten, Eric, exactly what they're talking about in terms of accountability connected to dollars. Because that seems to be, whether you're Republican or Democrat, and I know our students were talking about who they talk to, when you say to a community, you're going to get dollars associated with this, and if that accountability is connected to you making sure that you're doing culturally responsive teaching, and there's evidence of that, then we have to figure out how does that get into our assessment system as well.
Ooh. Speaking of action, before I get into our last 15 minutes of where should we go from here, I want to ask Eric Veal Jr. A question in particular. Can you share with us, in what ways have you grown as a direct result of your participation as a member of the Student Advisory Council for the Illinois State Board of Education?
Well, that's a loaded question, but I'm going to concise it very quickly. That I have grown so much from friendship, membership, and just getting to talk to students from around our great state, and hearing from board members as well as politicians, I think it's very important to note that, as I've had different experiences, so has my peers. And so through that, I think getting to discuss and getting to think about, how I grew up and how they may have, and to really just find similarities as well as differences, I think it really impacts the work I do at my own school as well as district. I know after conversations with my subgroup, I went back and did a review with students about what are we missing inside of textbooks. So we took all of our history textbooks and went through and said, who are we missing? What are we missing? And that was a product of conversations I've had with our group. So a lot of the work that I know I've done personally has influenced my colleagues, as well as the work they've done has influenced me as well.
Absolutely. Do any of you want to share a response to my question relevant to what we as adults can do to continue to support this work and do a better job, to be quite frank, with your peers, perhaps those that are younger than you, or you all are sophomores, and juniors and seniors. So what can we do?
I think it's really simple. And I've heard a lot about different people on this panel saying, like, a lot of people talk, lead. It's as simple as that. We need leaders. We love students leading, we love other people leading, but we need our older people, we need our seniors, we need our adults, our parents, we need them leading us. Because while we can finally make our way through, it's much easier when we have someone to look to. And everyone talks a great game, and everyone, I believe at the core, everyone wants equity, or a large majority of people want equity, a large majority enough to make this world equitable, but we need people to lead. We need people to not be afraid to speak, afraid to make action. We need people to show us what we should be doing.
Just to add on to what Talib was saying, with our adults and things of that nature leading, but also giving the students who have the voices and things of that nature, the platform and conversations like these, and things of that nature, where we are able to voice our opinions to larger audiences. Because of course, we can have these discussions in smaller environments, but once we're given the opportunity to speak in front of, larger politicians and stakeholders and things of that nature, so, more people can understand, this is how the students feel, and this is what they want, this is what they actually need, and things of that nature, then we're even closer to really just, stopping the talk and walking the walk, actually going with what.
Good job.
So yeah, that's what I think will also help.
So I'm just so our listening audience is been paying attention. I'm going to summarize for 1 minute and then give me and Dr. Malveaux our last 4 minutes here. What I've heard you say with regards to recommendations in summary is that we have to start at the state level, at the agency level, with training and advocacy. In addition, it was stated that there has to be a sense of accountability that is connected to dollars. And I can't say it better than Talib said. We also have to, those of us, he said the older folks, those of us that are in leadership positions right now or aspire to leadership actually have to lead. And then the last recommendation that was provided as a direct result of this town hall discussion is that we have to continue to give students the platform to do this work. Dr. Malveaux.
Thank you, Dr. Whitaker. Thank you, young people, so much for opening our eyes and reminding us that you're stakeholders. And every stakeholder in the system has to have their voice heard. It doesn't do any good for us to do top down, this is what students need, we need to hear what you have to say. So you have really blessed us with your thoughts and with your insights. I want to, really, there's not much else to say. My words are to the young youth panelists. You all follow in the footsteps of Barbara Johns, of Linda Brown, who was a named plaintiff in Brown versus Board of Education, of Ernie Green and Melba Patel Beals. You follow in the footsteps of young people who basically broke barriers, challenged boundaries. And so I encourage you to continue to do that, but also the adults who are participating, listening, sharing. We have to do the same thing. We can't ask young people to do things that we're unwilling to do ourselves. So I'll just stop there. Sonia, this has been excellent.
Wow, thank you, Dr. Malveaux. I think that was absolutely beautiful. Thank you again, student audience. Thank you. When I feel like I can really call our audience tonight participating, because we've had a lot of questions and actually a lot of just statements in the Q&A. On behalf again of Reverend Jesse Jackson, Dr. Julianne Malveaux, Reverend Dr. Jeanette, and again, our panelists, I would like to thank you for being with us here tonight. I do want to close in my last 2 minutes and share.
Can I just, before you go to that, I'm sorry, I just want to congratulate Kirsten, Hannah, and Talib. They are the class of 2021.
Oh,
class to you as you all head off to college, to your future endeavors. We're so proud of you. And I know that you will make Illinois so proud. And to Eric, who is his class president, going into his senior year. So these young people they're doing it. And so I just wanted to congratulate our seniors as you are headed out the door to even greater things. And Eric, and as you head to your senior year as your class president.
Well, and we want you to stay closely connected. We'll talk more about that even as you go off to school. Rainbow Push and Push Excel is a pretty phenomenal platform to help continue to support the work that you're going, I know, continue to do at the university level. So good night, everyone.
Now, we have several ways for you to get involved with PUSH today. First of all, you can become a member. That's very simple. You can go to rainbowpush.org and you can pay $35 if you're under age 65 and not a student, or you can pay $15 if you're a senior or a student and become a paid member of the Rainbow Push Coalition. Membership matters. And then the second thing, if you know of a student who's in high school, 9th through the 12th grade, they should be a part of our virtual college tours. This year, because of COVID-19, we're having virtual tours. We're going to some 8 historic Black colleges, but we're going to other colleges. Have them register for the virtual college tour. That way they can begin to decide early on where they might want to go to college, what college offers for them. The third thing you can do is, if you know a student who will graduate from 8th grade, 12th grade, college, community college, or graduate school, have them send their photo and a 2-line, 2-sentence bio, which says the school they're graduating from, the year, the grade they're graduating from, so that we can pay tribute to them in our baccalaureate service on June the 27th. That's like a graduation program. We're having a graduation program to celebrate students that you know. Have them send a photo, 2-line bio. We want to salute them June 27th. Right now, you can register for the Rainbow Push Convention. It's virtual. All you have to do is register. You're going to get so much information. You're going to get so many connections that you normally would not have. You're going to be ready to join us when we leave the convention. We're going to be taking some aggressive actions to end voter suppression. We're going to deal with housing. We're going to deal with education, educational equity. We're going to deal with opportunities for jobs and contracts. You don't want to miss this year's convention. Register now. Go to rainbowpush.org. It's only $35. Everybody can be in. Everybody can serve. It's something that you can do.
For 2021, we're excited to get more people engaged and involved in Rainbow Push, supporting the programs of Push for Excellence and the Citizenship Education Fund. Now, if you're interested in public policy and you want to help change the policies that impact those who are incarcerated, you can do so. If you're interested in impacting public policies that benefit education and businesses with social economic solutions, you can do that as well. You can become a policymaker by becoming a member of Rainbow Push right now. Now, if you believe in the scholarships that we've given to thousands of students each year, you can help us out. We've awarded more than $10 million in scholarships year to date. Now, you can help young people achieve a higher education by becoming a member of Rainbow Push right now for the annual fee of only $35. And if you're a student or a senior, it's only $15. You can help us make a difference in the lives of millions. Now, if you watch us every week, or if you listen to us on the radio, or if you're viewing on social media, we need you to become a member. And how do you become a member? It's simple. Visit us at rainbowpush.org and press join. Maybe you'd like to support the work of PUSH. If so, it's really simple. You can do so by texting the word PUSH, that's P-U-S-H, to 41444 on your cell phone, and you can give any amount that you feel comfortable giving, or you can call us at 773-256-2775 or go to rainbowpush.org and push donate. So whenever you want to support, you can do it from anywhere. So keep pushing, because we're going to keep pushing for you and keep hope alive.
Attention college freshmen. If you are a business or engineering major with a 3.0 GPA and will be starting your sophomore year this fall, Toyota has an opportunity just for you. The Jesse Jackson Fellows Toyota Scholarship is a $25,000 scholarship that is renewable for 2 additional years and includes summer internships. The deadline to apply is May 31st. For more information, visit www.pushexcel.org today.
Dr. Kim, I went to jail with a group of 7 students, July 17, 1960, almost 60 years ago. We never stopped moving. I lost a few jail cells and death. We never stopped moving. I thought it was time to write some of it down so the older generation can learn how we did, and what we did, and how global it was. Whether speaking about Mandela in South Africa, India, Qatar, Gandhi in India, here at home. This book tells the story, so please get it and give it to your friends. Read it, let's argue about it, let's discuss it.
Yep, so the book is Keeping Hope Alive, Sermons and Speeches of Reverend Jesse Jackson Sr. It's quite a good collection. You know, we've got sermons and speeches from around the globe because you have made such a global impact, not just here in the US, but around the world.
Thank you for tuning in to our International Saturday morning broadcast. We need your support. Here are ways to give to Rainbow Push Coalition. Text PUSH, P-U-S-H, to 41444 to support the work of Reverend Jesse Jackson Sr. and Rainbow Push Coalition. When you shop, Amazon gives. Visit Amazon Smile and select PUSH for Excellence as your charitable organization by starting your shopping at smile.amazon.com.
Get involved with the movement.
Somebody. I may be poor, but I am somebody.
Join the movement.
If you're not a member, become a member.
I am somebody.
Fighting the most important battles for freedom and justice for all.
You made us change. Oh, trying to bring closer.
Join Rainbow Push.
But you're not pushing me away.
Join the movement.